Have you ever felt like you just can't see yourself clearly? You know, like the person you perform for the world and the person who are in private are drifting further and further apart? Well, in her incredible book of essays, Trick Mirror, Jia Tolentino argues that this feeling isn't just in your head. It's pretty much the defining condition of modern life. Okay, let's dive into this. So this right here is the core metaphor Tolentino uses to describe our world today. Think of a trick mirror, like the ones at a carnival. It totally distorts reality. On one hand, it can show you this version of yourself that's absolutely flawless, this perfect image you're always trying to project. And on the other hand, it can zoom in on every single little imperfection, giving you this endless opportunity to just tear yourself apart. They're two sides of the same warped coin, and Tolentino says we're all kind of forced to stare into it.
And that brings us to the central question her work really makes us face. This isn't just about simple vanity or insecurity. Tolentino's whole point is that the very structures of our world, our economy, our technology, our culture, they're basically designed to make a clear self-image almost impossible to get.
So let's step inside this trick mirror, shall we? Tolentino's big argument isn't just that we're all individually deluded, but that we're living in this landscape of structured self-delusion. The key word there is structured. It's not a personal failing, it's the environment we're all swimming in.
I mean, think about what shapes you: the gig economy, social media, the wellness industry. Tolentino calls these spheres of public imagination. And they are not neutral. They are actively molding our desires, our ethics, and our sense of who we are, usually for someone else's profit. You know how your Instagram feed shapes what you want to buy, or how your LinkedIn profile shapes your whole career? It all creates this system where fooling ourselves feels not just natural, but necessary.
And the main stage for this whole grand performance, you guessed it, the internet. It might have started as this place for discovery and connection, but it's totally evolved into the #1 spot where identities are built, showcased, and judged 24/7.
Tolentino breaks down exactly how the internet's design messes with our reality into these 5 big problems. For example, it distends our identity, that's a great way to put it, by making us feel like we have to have an opinion on everything, spreading our sense of self impossibly thin. Or how it cheapens solidarity by turning really complex social movements into, a simple hashtag or a profile picture filter. These things all work together to create an online world where having a stable sense of self is, well, it's a real challenge.
So how do we even start to unpack this constant online performance? Well, Tolentino turns to this really fascinating idea from sociology called dramaturgy. The basic idea is pretty simple. All the world's a stage, and we're all just actors, constantly trying to manage the impression we make on everyone else.
And the guy who came up with this, Goffman, he said we navigate life by separating our front stage self, that polished, professional version we show the world, from our backstage self, where we can finally relax and be real with people we trust. It's the difference between how you act in a job interview versus how you complain about it with your friends later, right? And this is the internet's killer problem. It completely collapses the distinction between front stage and backstage. Your audience is potentially everyone all the time. There is no escape. There's no place to just take off the costume. We are trapped in this state of perpetual performance. Okay, so if we're all performing, what's the lead role we're all trying to get? The first major part Tolentino identifies is this relentless pursuit of perfection, or what she calls optimization. It's this idea that our self is a project that can, and absolutely should, be constantly improved, streamlined, and upgraded.
Tolentino sketches this perfect portrait of the ideal woman as the embodiment of this whole ethos. She is a walking, talking billboard for optimization. Her effortless look is actually the product of immense, expensive labor. Yet the whole goal is to make you believe this ideal self is just who she is, naturally, something she came up with all on her own, which is, of course, the greatest trick of all.
And what's wild is seeing how these big ideas show up in our day-to-day lives. That $12 salad isn't just lunch, it's a tool for efficiency in a life that demands you're always productive. That expensive bar class isn't just a workout, it's a ritual to sculpt a very specific, culturally approved body. These aren't just consumer choices, they are acts in the performance of self-optimization.
But this performance can get even more extreme if optimization is about performing a perfect self. The scam is what happens when the performance becomes more real and more valuable than reality itself. The ideal woman and the scammer are two sides of that same coin. One performs a perfect self, the other performs a perfect business, and both rely on appearance over substance.
And as you can see, this didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Tolentino traces the rise of this scam ethos to some very real shifts in our world. The 2008 financial crisis basically taught a generation that scamming on a massive scale could be super profitable with zero consequences. Then, social media taught us all how to sell ourselves. And, with crushing student debt, traditional career paths started to feel like a scam themselves, making the idea of a shortcut almost irresistible.
And look at this number right here. 271 to 1. That's the stark economic reality fueling this whole thing. It's the ratio of what the average CEO makes compared to their average worker. A crazy jump from 20 to 1 back in 1965. When the rewards for winning are that skewed and the whole system feels rigged, the incentive to bend the rules or just break them completely becomes incredibly powerful.
So, the really crucial point is this. Infamous scams like Fire Festival or that blood testing company Theranos, they weren't just bizarre, one-off events. They were the inevitable result of a culture that had learned to value the performance of success more than actual success. They're the ultimate trick mirrors.
Okay, I know. This all sounds pretty bleak. Which brings us back to the main problem. If we're all trapped inside this tricked mirror, how can we ever hope to see clearly? Is there even a way out? Well, Tolentino suggests there are no easy answers, but there are ways to resist.
She doesn't offer some 10-step plan to fix it all. Instead, she just points toward these small, personal shifts in how we see things. It's really about consciously de-investing from the performance. It means trying to genuinely care a little less about our online brand. It means being brave enough to question our own most strongly held opinions. And it means accepting the tough truth that we can be messy and wrong, and ultimately, that we're not the main character in everyone else's story. Ultimately, the big takeaway from Trick Mirror isn't a solution, it's a task. The goal isn't to shatter the mirror, that's probably impossible now. The goal is the constant, difficult, ongoing work of recognizing the distortions, of knowing you're looking into a trick mirror and trying your best to account for the warp. It's about finding freedom, not by escaping the performance, but by refusing to believe in it so completely. And so, that leaves us with one final, really crucial question we have to ask ourselves. In your life, where is the performance? What are the pressures that distort how you see yourself? What is your trick mirror?